This is Andy, and this is episode 291 of the Cultra Trail Running Podcast.
From the belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut, this is the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. We talk about all the fun shit that happens on the trails that most normal people don't care about. The language we use is fucking explicit and raw like the trails we run on. So don't listen with your kids! Cultra is brought to you by our Patreons and supporters, and we are 112% listener supported, and support is good.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Cultra Trail Running Podcast. I'm your host, Art Byram, and I am joined tonight by a whole room full of people. But starting off with the Cultra crew, I have Jimmy Mack.
What's good, fam?
And Fred Murolo.
I'm here. I'm back. I'm back here.
Back here. So before we get into like the rest of our guests and everything, I got to just ask Fred. So Fred, where are you back from?
Last week, this is really kind of humbling, Art. Last week, while you were recording, I was at my high school reunion.
Oh.
And it wasn't just any high school reunion. It was my 50th high school reunion.
Wow.
So
do they give you a buckle for that one or no?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah. Because you're not going to make 100. They might as well give you a buckle, right?
I'm sure there's people who DNF'd that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Some of my good friends DNF'd the 50th.
Oh boy.
But, yeah, it was pretty wild. Yeah.
Jeez. Well, welcome back.
Well, thank you. And then, the following night, my movie premiered at Wesleyan. So Celeste and I were at the movie premiere. That was pretty awesome.
It's not easy being a star, right? I mean, it extends beyond being podcast famous. So
yes, I'm Wesleyan famous now.
Wow.
You brought the audience to tears.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. That's so how was that event then?
It was really cool. Yeah. It was, the whole experience was kind of weird having somebody make a 12-minute documentary about you. Like it was hours where they're following me around and stuff, but the documentary was very cool, and I really enjoyed the evening. So it was nice. Celeste said nice things about me too.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you're supposed to deny that, right? Isn't that what she always says? Like
I think she'll deny it probably, but she did. I have it on tape. So
oh wow. Jeez. Well, that's great. Well, welcome back and congratulations on that. So we will have is that available online at this point, Fred?
I don't know. I know I sent you guys a copy, but I'm not sure if it's widely available. I have to ask the person who made it.
That's like a bootleg copy.
Yeah,
you sent us your Mayflower. What's the equivalent of a Mayflower in film?
I don't know. It's like the basement tapes. The basement tapes.
The editor's cut. So
yeah.
All right. Very good. Well, welcome back. So listen, we have a whole room full of people here and some great things to talk about. Andy didn't give his last name, but joining us tonight is the pride of Plymouth. It's Andy Tide. So welcome,
Yep.
Andy.
I'm half here, at least.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, and
put some respect on the man's name and say it right, please.
I can say, no, we always say it Andy Tide.
You know how Jimmy wants to say it.
But, okay. Oh, go ahead, Jimmy.
You're gonna put a Y on the end. Right?
But we did that during the night.
That's awesome. Okay, I need to hear about this. This is great.
So yeah, so you called him Andy Titty?
It may have happened.
It did. Yeah. I can see it. That's we're going to get along fine here then. So that's great. So, and also joining us tonight, we have the two race directors from Riverlands 100. We have, and I'm going to mess up their names, but that's how I roll. So Valerie Abradi.
You didn't.
Oh, look at that. And Mindy Slovinski.
Perfect.
All right. Look at that. So who knew, right?
Failed twice, Art.
They said it.
Yeah,
I must
if
be
you have an ethnic sounding last name, Art will get it right. But if you have just a regular name that's like one syllable, Art's gonna fuck it up.
Yeah, I must be coming down with a cold or something, so I'm not my normal self.
I blame my dentures. I'm like, oh, it's these new dentures.
Yeah, that's it. Oh my gosh. So you guys just first of all, let's talk about like what the event is itself, and where it is. Because that's crucial, right? The Riverlands 100. So maybe Mindy, we can start with you if you like.
Sure.
What is the Riverlands 100?
Well, so location, I guess, it's in Turner, Maine at the Androscoggin Riverlands State Park, which is, what would you say? It's like an hour north of Portland, Maine. It's very rural. And there's this beautiful state park there that we actually started running at. Val and I started running at because we were tired of our home park. It was like lots of like just gnarly single track, and we were training for an ultra, and we're like, we just want to go where like we don't have to think about running. And there's this ATV trail. I'm probably getting it wrong. This is the gist of it, where we're like, it was just kind of wide, and we could like, when we were tired, we didn't have to really look at our feet too much.
Yeah, you are.
What's that?
We had to look at our feet. But
We
it
did
was
have to look at our
straight.
feet.
It wasn't twisty, turny. We didn't have to think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'll let her tell the story of just kind of how it was born, but we kind of conceived of like, what if I think one of the first ideas was like, what if we did like a winter, we were training in the winter, what if we did like a winter marathon here? What if we started like coming up with ideas on these long runs, like if we were going to run a race, or if we were going to direct a race, like what kinds of things would we do? And it just started like becoming its own thing. And I'll let you tell the rest. We were like, we're starting to come up with routes, starting to imagine like what could be possible here at this park as we kind of discovered it.
Yeah. Mindy and I have been race directors for the Big Brad Ultras at Bradbury Mountain State Park in Maine. And it has a 50K and a 50 miler. And we just felt like, you know, like Mindy was saying, we were thinking about how could we use Riverlands because we liked it so much. And then it's like, trail monsters really need to be the ones to put on the first 100 in Maine, because Maine doesn't, besides us, have a true 100-mile trail race. And so we said, let's do it. And because we didn't know the park real well to begin with, it just started out on the ATV trail. And so our first 2 years was simply 5 laps. It had some single track, but it was mostly the ATV trail. And after the first 2 years is like we had run the park more, and we learned, there's a lot out here. And so we were able to make it a 4-lap course and incorporate more of the really good single track that we have.
Very good. Very good. So I have to say this now, lots of times, most of us go out running with our friends and we start talking and we're like, yeah, we should do this and we should do that. And I know what we're going to do. We're going to do, we'll have we're going to do this. And like talk is cheap, right? So bring me to the moment where it first got real, like where something happened that made it like, okay, this is maybe like we're actually taking steps to make this happen.
I think it was my husband actually who said to me, you could do, something like just an out and back. I was like, yeah, we could. And that would get it done. And so then I messaged Mindy and she's like, let's do it.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. So, and how long, so tell us about, before we go further with this, tell us a little bit about, you mentioned the Big Brad Ultras. So how did your involvement in all of that start? Like, how did you guys get involved in that?
Well, the person who started Trail Monster Running wanted us to get started with ultras, but he had just started a family life.
Is that Ian?
Ian, yes, very good.
Okay,
Ian
sure. Yes, we've had Ian on the show.
Okay, so he wanted an ultra to happen, but he didn't want to be the race director. And I said, well, I'll do it if Mindy will do it. And and then Mindy came in.
Very good.
Yeah. I think our jump into Riverlands was a little bit like our jump into ultras. Like we had done Big Brad. We kind of knew the lay of the land for directing. So that was like kind of like our 50K. And then I think like we were both like, let's just do it. Like we kind of knew we could figure it out along the way. And we always kind of joke, Valerie's a mechanical engineer. She's numbers, logistics. She knows the trails. Like you plopped her down. If you like parachuted her into the trails, she would like, come to her feet and then tell us like 10 ways to get out and how long it would take. And I have zero sense of direction. I'm a therapist. I'm like making up documents and, talking to the runners and all that. So together we kind of have these two skill sets. And I think we just trusted each other that we're like, we can totally do this.
We always say between us, we have one brain. We have a complete brain anyway.
Oh,
I feel like when all the members of the podcast are here, that we share that similar sentiment.
that's true. It's one body. We can put a whole body together with
we're
this.
like,
Is what
we're like
saying.
Voltron, but we don't do shit.
That's right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So now there is one question. Like, let's address the elephant in the room at this point, right? Like, I mean, I know the listeners at home are just like saying, okay, so 100-miler in Maine is scary because it involves all times of the day and it gets you out deep into the woods. And there's only one thing that comes to mind, right?
What?
Gators.
What?
Gators.
Yeah.
Alligators. I mean,
did you see any, Andy?
Why did you?
Yeah.
Yes, Andy did. See?
In the river,
Yep.
the Androscoggin River gator.
That's why my left ankle hurts, I'm pretty sure.
That's not surprising, actually.
Just in case our listeners don't know that Art is referencing a very obscure Saturday Night Live reference from like 10 years ago that no one saw.
I have no
Did
idea.
you guys hear about the Turner Beast, though? It made national news like the year before our race.
No,
Wait,
tell us about this.
Supposedly there was this mythological beast being seen in Turner, and Androscoggin Riverlands was part of it. And so our relay award that we have for the winning relay team is called the
Beast Bowl.
Beast Bowl. So it's kind of like the Stanley Cup of relay teams.
We had this vision. We had this like big, this is one of our run, like during the run, we're like, it'll be like the Stanley Cup and like people drink beer out of it and they'll take it on like fishing trips and they'll do all this stuff. And it did not quite take off to be like the vision that we hoped it to be, but
it's
it
named
still has
after the
potential.
Turner Beast.
But there's a
It's
beast,
named after
right?
the Turner Beast.
Yeah. So, like, is it like Stephen King's Wendigo from Pet Cemetery? Is that that kind of thing?
Sure. It became like a huge wolf type creature and with like glowing eyes, and they did
Like
actually
a
find something
chupacabra?
one time.
I think it was like a coyote with mange. Like
Yeah.
it
It's a
ended up being like,
chupacabra.
yeah.
You guys are talking about a chupacabra. Yes.
Like, there's many it's known by many names in different cultures. So actually in Connecticut, they call that shadow bear.
Ah.
Ooh.
So shadow bear, he haunts the cut 112. And basically if you start to stumble a little bit, he'll come up and just take a bite out of your ass.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's pretty serious stuff. So
If you fall asleep in your chair, you're disqualified, right?
Yes.
Shadow bear comes and rips your bib off.
true.
This was the first year, though, that we had a runner, and if he didn't have his pacer, we would have just said he was hallucinating. But a runner saw a mama bear with 2 cubs.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
I heard somebody telling us about bears that were falling out of trees the other day, right? Like drop bears. So, that's something to keep in mind there. So, all right. So we had Andy introduce us, and we've really kind of like ignored him. So, Andy Tidd, so you got a chance to run this race. So tell us about like your experience there. What was it like at the start of the race, or maybe getting, how did you had to start in Plymouth, right? So you landed in Plymouth, and then you're like, where do I go from here? And you're like, I know, I'm going to Maine.
Andy was solid as a rock. Come on.
Yeah. We went 3.5 hours north. Somewhere in Maine.
Uh-huh.
It was a lovely spot. Uh,
And so
yeah.
yeah, so how did you stay overnight or did you drive there that morning?
Yeah, we got an Airbnb, me and my whole immediate family, which is three young kids and my wife and I.
Oh,
And
nice.
then I drove myself to the park in our car, and my pacer picked it up later in the day. It was a whole thing. It was quite an operation.
It is. It's challenging for an ultra running family to travel and do a race that starts early in the morning because the kids are trying to sleep, and there's the whole logistics thing, right?
Yeah, more like mom's trying to sleep, but yeah, people are trying to sleep.
Right on, yeah, because the kids didn't sleep all night anyway. So I did that once when I did Vermont 50. My kids were young, very young, and I rode my bike 5 miles to the start, and
Yeah,
then
I consider running.
yeah, that's a nice flex, if you can do that. I mean, in
And win
my
the race,
defense, it was all
right?
downhill.
If you run
That's
to
right.
the race, win the race. That would be the ultimate flex, right?
Were you in Hartford, Andy?
Yeah, we were a little far away from
Yeah,
that
that's not 5 miles.
So this was in Hartford, Maine, you're talking about?
That's where you're staying.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's got to be 10, 15 minutes, right? Follow that.
Mm,
Driving, not running.
okay. All right. So you got there. Now, did you have a good night's sleep the night before or no?
Oh, no, not at all. I slept with a very anxious 8-year-old that wouldn't go to sleep in a
Yeah.
very small bed and a baby.
Oh, that checks out. Yeah.
That's
That's the way you're supposed to do it, Andy. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to get a night's sleep. Yeah.
Being
So
a
like
dad,
a half
right?
an hour. Yeah,
Oh,
like
so
a half an
that's
hour of bad sleep.
huh.
That's right. He was running for like less time than most of our runners, so he didn't need as much sleep.
Yeah, well, you got that. That's true. You get to
Absolutely.
sleep the next night.
So then you get to the race, and how are you feeling before the gun goes off?
Oh, I was very nervous. I'm a pretty anxious person. I don't know if you can tell the obvious, but I was pretty nervous, feeling like all the doubts you get, like why do we do these things, all that.
Sure.
So you're at the starting line thinking, I got this. I'm totally going to win this race. That's what you're
Nope.
That's what I think that almost every race for at least like the first, I don't know, 10 feet or so, in the race. So the race went off and how did it start? Like maybe you could bring us through the first out and back.
The first out and back, I think there was at least 3 or 4 people ahead of me that
Mhm.
stayed ahead of me most of the way. And I ran with a lot of really nice people that lap that were generous enough to stay at 20-hour pace with me.
Mm.
And I don't know. It was a nice easy lap. It was a lot of up and down.
Wow.
It's a tough course, but
Most people don't say that about our course, by the way.
the first lap felt easy.
You're insulting Valerie here. You're like, you're supposed to say like it was
No,
brutal. I
I'm
barely
impressed.
made it.
I'm impressed.
It definitely got brutal. The first lap was pretty easy. I think I passed all the other guys by the end of the first lap. And at one point, I was pretty sure that maybe I missed a turn, so I ran back like a quarter mile,
Oh
and
my
I
gosh.
hadn't missed a turn.
Oh no.
Oh,
So I turned back around. So that
Okay.
lap, I wasted a lot of energy.
Mm.
But
Good times.
your
you got to
record is
you got to know the
better.
course, right?
You would have
At that
broken the
point.
record even more.
Know the course. Always know the course.
Yeah. So it was the beginning of this is like an ATV track, right? And then it goes into single track. Is that right?
3/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
ATV.
Oh, okay.
That first
Oh.
3/4 of the mile is the only smooth section, I think.
Oh, so I didn't get that. I didn't understand that. So only 3/4 of a mile of that,
Of the
is
start. No, of the start.
Okay.
So then you're on single track for a good long way, and then you're on ATV for a couple miles, and then you're back on single track.
Okay.
And you say ATV like you think like a nice smooth road, but it's
Oh.
not so much.
No,
Yeah,
no,
Pretty
no.
rough.
Yeah, sometimes that can be tough just because a lot of times it gets eroded and it gets gravelly, right? And then
Ruts,
trying to
you get
find your
ruts.
line, and it's
Yeah.
not like a natural it's not necessarily a natural trail. So those can be very difficult to run on. So
It looks like a riverbed in spots. You're pretty sure you're like
Mm.
running down a waterfall that's dried out.
yeah, yeah.
Very good description.
Wow. So you think you were in the lead after the first loop, and then
I think so.
what was the weather like as you started there?
It was perfect. It was really nice. It was a little chilly at the start, but it was t-shirt weather before the first 5 miles, I think.
Okay. All right. And then take us through, how did it develop from there? Like, how were you, you were feeling good after the first lap, or?
Yeah, I was feeling good. I was fueling really well, aggressively,
Mm-hmm. Oh, there you
eating
go.
all of
Good.
the things, probably somewhere around 450 calories every hour, easy for the
Nice.
first 50 to 60 miles.
Mm,
Where things turn south. I think that was a good thing.
yeah. What was working for you in that regard? What were you eating?
Everything. Gels. I had a piece of pizza with a peanut butter and jelly stuck
Wow.
together.
Hmm.
Wow.
It's impressive.
Wow.
Peanut butter and jelly pizza, huh?
Yeah.
That's
I was just
I gotta
kidding.
write that down.
It was very tasty.
Yeah.
I recommend
Wait,
it.
Have you never dipped a peanut butter and jelly in a vegetable soup?
Oh, I guess not.
It's
I would.
amazing. You should try it. It's amazing.
That works. That's a good one.
It's salty and sweet. It hits all, it checks all the boxes.
All the things.
So
I'm
Mindy,
impressed with that.
I got to interrupt. So Mindy, what's your favorite, like, off the, out of the box, like, or, off the menu, like, similar to what Jimmy said or something like that?
Oh,
Like,
aid station food.
yeah. What do you like? Like, what's the wacky thing that you like to eat?
Oh, man, I don't know. I would probably go for just about anything,
Mindy's double stuffed Oreos.
Yes, actually, I was thinking that. I thought it, but I didn't say it, but I will say it out loud. There was one race, it was my first ultra, and like, let's just say the aid stations sucked. But somebody had left out like a pack of Oreos in the sun, and they were just like perfectly warm.
They were ripe.
Like it had just come out of the oven, like the Nestle oven. And I like thought I think I talked about the Oreos for a while, like after we had them. Valerie thinks they're disgusting. And I was like, but they were just warm. And there's that filling kind of heated up. It was good.
Very good. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Valerie, how about you? You have
I'm one of those people that can't eat. I like our first 100, I did tailwind the whole time. And after that, it seems like I can eat for 30 miles and then I have to just do tailwind. So,
okay. Wow. So a lot of people do it the opposite way. Like they'll start with the liquid and then have to move to food.
Yeah, no, even the smell of, like, I have to avoid the aid station cooking because the smell of broth will turn my stomach. Yeah, no, it's not fun. But I have learned that, like, my pre-race meal is a burger.
Burger, yeah, okay, that's good.
Yeah,
like the morning of meal,
yeah,
like breakfast.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that used to be a big. I think if you listen to Davy Crockett's, history of ultra running, like back in the days of pedestrianism, I think they, eating a steak was like something that you did. So
well, get the calories while you can, because they don't go down for me otherwise. So.
Yeah, but they also used to eat hard-boiled eggs. They used to drink wine and laced with strychnine too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They do all that stuff.
Sometimes cocaine too, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's right. They would take it. Yeah,
it It was no, but
it was the 1890s. They didn't know
Yeah.
anything about it.
you can't
right?
blame
Like,
the
it's like-
runners for that. It
They
was
did
their
it too.
handlers because their handlers had all the bets on them, and they would put them on amphetamines and cocaine.
Could you imagine running? Could you imagine running laps in Madison Square Garden while people are in there like smoking and drinking, and there's like animals, livestock? It's like it was. That sounds like an amazing experience. I would run an ultra in Madison Square Garden.
They're throwing
Full
shit at
cigarette
you.
smoke. Yeah.
They're throwing shit at
Getting
you
your race
too,
idea.
and making fun of you.
I think sometimes their handlers would like slap them in the face and stuff too to keep them awake. Like, come
I
on.
want a handler.
You gotta do
I
this.
mean, there's stories of like more than one. People have gotten like shoot each other, like guns are drawn, knives are. People got stabbed. All
Andy,
sorts
are
of
you
stuff.
glad we were much nicer?
It is,
That sounds like solid pacing. That's a good pacer.
It is. It is like, yeah. That's why I moved
whatever
to
gets you to
pacing.
move, Andy, right? Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
That's right. No DNF. You're not done until I say you're done. You think you can just walk away? Oh my gosh. So then, okay. So Andy, so you said it was going great until 60, 70, something like that.
Around, I guess it would be around 60 something because it was at the far out aid station. What's that called now?
Conan.
Conan Road.
Yeah, at that aid station that I realized that I really wasn't going to be able to eat for a little while. Everything
Wow.
looked like barf all of a sudden, so just turned around.
Oh, it was barf.
The
Actually,
tailwind
that
did-
was
yeah.
the secret ingredient they were serving. No, it's not. I'm sorry.
So, Andy,
that-
are
that
you
was
the
a
kind
pretty
of
big
person
blow.
who just like stops eating when you feel that way, or you try to force it down?
I stopped eating for a time, and then when like you can't pick your feet up anymore, it's time to try to force something and see what happens,
Hmm.
But I usually give it a minute, which works that day at least.
Now, have you taken a look to see what that actually did to your pace, or did that impact your pace, or what did
It definitely, I was definitely in a low regardless. Like that was a
Mhm.
slow spot. I'm sure it was. It felt that way anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
And I probably didn't come out of that until I got back to mile 75.
Mm.
So that was a pretty big low. That was probably the biggest tough spot there.
Now at 75, you're going into your last lap, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Something about that, maybe, right? You think that impacts you, like, because when you're at mile 60, you're like, oh my God, I'm just over halfway. I mean, and I'm like, oh, it's all in front of me. And then like 75, you're like, I just got a marathon to go. Right? On the good day. On a good day.
One
that's how I look at
marathon.
it. That's right.
One training run.
And what's that, right?
Really, the best part is when you turn back on that fourth out and back, right? And you're turning for home. Then you feel like, I got this. I totally got this. Yeah.
Because you're
Sort of.
Sort of. Yeah.
Because are you the kind, Andy, that says like, oh, I'm not going to have to run this one again. Not in this direction.
Yeah,
Yep,
we
goodbye,
talked to
Rock.
Yep. We
goodbye,
talked to
part.
all those sections.
Yep. Goodbye, part. I ran twice for no reason.
Yeah.
Oh my
See you later,
gosh.
stairs.
That's great. Stairs. What are stairs? Tell us about the stairs.
There's some stairs. I didn't know that either till I showed up. There's some stairs. Like course
Okay.
recon is not good.
So-
They're very
They have
uneven.
twinkle
And
lights on them.
they're very uneven. They're very steep, and some of them are like 15 inches, and some of them are like 8. So you never really know where your foot's supposed to go.
Hmm.
It's exciting.
these-
There was twinkle lights, which will keep you from falling over like a 40-foot cliff. So that's good.
So
Good
what
to
was,
have
Looking
a
out for you.
what was the total? Do you guys know what the total elevation gain is on this?
It's up for dispute because we have anywhere from 11 to 14,000, depending whose GPS you use.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's more like 12 and a half. What did you get, Andy?
I got like 12, like 11 something,
Okay.
11.9.
The person who was second got 14. So he ran a lot harder course than you did.
That's why he was slower.
Stairs
It's
a couple times. Yeah.
That all makes sense.
not fair.
So wow. So I guess at this point, like, Valerie's asking, like, she's like doing the calculations to determine the exact slope and the approach angle and
Pretty
all this
much.
stuff. And like Mindy's saying, like, well, how much vert did it feel like?
Exactly.
As a therapist, you just
How
want
did you feel when you were
talk to
going
him
up
there.
the stairs? Yeah.
That's right.
Can you feel it in your
felt-
body, Andy? Can you feel that?
Yeah, that vibration,
Yeah.
Andy.
I'm used
Tell
to
us
that.
about
My wife's
that.
a therapist, so I'm
Nice.
pretty used to that.
Oh,
That's the only
gosh.
reason we have Zoom today.
Oh, okay. All right.
You guys know this is his first 100, right? Did you know that?
You know what?
I got
You
his
should be-
his ultra sign up open here.
Tell us what we got.
Not
Jim.
a lot. Not a lot there.
And Andy's a stud, dude. But I knew that back when we first started the Strava group for the podcast, and I was like, "Who's this fast guy from Massachusetts, man? He's throwing down." And then like I saw, you were doing stuff at Womp Romp, and I was like, I think everything you've done is like podium, right? Or like just about. We'll toot your horn for you, so you don't have to.
We call
Not
that. We'll
Twisted
paddle
Branch.
your. We're gonna paddle your douche
Definitely
canoe.
not.
Oh,
for
that's
you.
right. Twisted Branch. All right. But still, that's a tough race. But like, here, looking
That's
at
a
your
great
results.
race,
Hold
let
it,
me open it up.
and just a second. Hamster wheel is when I noticed he had some short shorts on, and he was just like buzzing by us, like like we were standing still, which we were.
And that's the thing I wanted to talk about. Andy improved 20 miles over what? So he went in 2021. He did a 12-hour. Ran 52 miles. Came back a year later and ran 72 miles at the 12-hour. That's
pretty
72
stout.
miles in
12
12 hours. That's 6 miles an hour. It's a 10-minute mile pace for 72 miles. You're an insane person, dude. So I like you, Andy. You're cool, dude.
That is.
But I secretly hate you.
Oh my gosh, that's So Lila
stout.
Gaudreau just did. I think she did 74. Did she do 74 at the 12-hour one day or at 3 days?
Who did this?
Lila Gaudreau. So she's a a Maine. She's a
Lila
runner
is
from Maine.
amazing.
Yeah, and she was the state. She was a state champion for her freshman and sophomore year, and then she said, "See ya, coach. I'm not going to play your game no more. I'm going to go ultra running because that's what I'm doing."
She won Big Red Ultra last year.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, she did, or
Yes.
doesn't surprise me. Yeah, she won Stone Cat 100K and finished that faster. If you guys can, this is very hard to believe. She finished that faster than I finished the 50 mile, which is like remarkable. I gotta say. No, it's like actually quite believable. But
Wait, all right. Did you turn your headlamp off and cover yourself in Desitin? What?
I had all sorts of drama going on there. So I kind of like sidetracked us here myself. Jimmy, maybe you should take over. I can't wait.
Oh no, looking at Andy's results here, and so Twisted Branch, 13 hours. That's a tough 100K though. But like all your other results here are really stout. And so I know you've been on the podcast radar as a fast guy for a couple of years now, and so now it's really no. I mean, like, it's a relative term, but it's like it's the coolest thing about this sport or whatever lifestyle, whatever the heck ultra running is that just you persevere, like you just keep going, you know what I mean, like and it hurts and all these things, but like you outlast or you out endure the other runners, and I think that's like the beautiful thing about this sport is, as Fred always says, if you refuse to quit, you have to have a mindset just to refuse to quit. Like good things are going to happen. You know what I mean? So it's like, but you have some talent, dude. So like you have like a really good jawline, which means you're probably like a really fit dude. Like, you know what I mean? Arson, if you're running in short shorts, then you're fast, because if you're that fast, you don't give a fuck what people are thinking about your quads. So, I'm just heaping praise on you because you seem like a humble dude.
So we stock all of our runners on Ultra Sign Up, and we said, Andy, well, he's not done the 100, so we don't really like take their ranking seriously, but they knew what they were saying, I think.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think Fred's been calling out, Andy for a long time now.
Yeah,
So
prior to Plymouth, he's fast. He won the Womp Romp, right? Is that like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
Robert Jeffers and Matt
Matt Hoadley.
Yes.
yeah, Matt Hoadley's
Yes.
race. That's right. Yeah, up
Yep.
in Hingham, Mass, I think it is, or
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hang on.
South
Yeah.
Shore.
at
Yeah.
Wampatuck State Forest or Wampatuck. Yeah. It's in October, people. We'll
Join
put
up,
a link
sign
in the
up.
show notes.
It's a
We'll tell
great
the AF
first
bot to put a
50K.
link in the show notes.
Yeah.
I'm
It's a
curious
good
what you
first
thought
50.
of what you thought of the trail, Andy. Like, it's not tons of climbing, but it's sort of unrelenting. So I'm curious from your, like, what'd you think of the course?
I thought the course was great. I loved
Yeah.
it. I thought it was great for me because it wasn't a whole lot of enormous climbs, which was good for sort of what I'm good at. And I thought it was extremely runnable, but you had to be mentally there to run it. There was so
Mm.
many things changed every 3 steps. Like you'd be going up and down and up and down and just rocks and roots, and then all of a sudden you're on a different trail, and then you're on some giant trail.
Set
I don't know.
of stone stairs.
Then you're
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're going up some stairs,
and then you're face down in the stairs.
and there's giant ATVs passing you.
So there's got to be something like this is what I wanted to hear. I wanted to find out what is the secret sauce there because Andy, I'm sure there's people listening to this who are, and I'm not sure this, but I would imagine there's people listening to this that are saying, what course was Andy on? Because I couldn't run that fucking thing after 50 miles because like I'm looking and there's, this year there were 44 finishers and 34 DNFs.
And that was a good year.
And
That was our best year. Yeah.
Some years there's many more people that don't finish the race than did. So like what's going on? Like what's taking people out? Is it the trauma of having to go back out into that scary night and face the Gators again? Or what's going on?
I think that might be a factor, actually, the scary Gators. Just the trauma of knowing exactly what's coming every lap is probably intimidating to a lot of people. I could see that. I certainly felt that at mile 75 when I was thinking maybe I can't run anymore. I don't really know.
I'm going to think that a lot of times it's the third lap, right? People,
Yeah,
they've
that's
done
gotta
50
be.
miles and they're like, oh my God, I got to do this twice more. I cannot do this. Right.
Yeah.
I'm only halfway there.
Yes.
But I was fresh and the first lap didn't even count. It is mental. Like
That's
you're right.
tough.
Starting
Yeah.
out that door.
Yeah.
Because it's like Ghost Train is the same way in a sense, except it's
Well,
shorter. It's shorter and a lot easier and not in Maine.
Not like that at all.
Besides that, it's exactly the same.
Real quick, I just found Andy on Athlinks, and he does have a sub-3 marathon to his name. So,
So he's
yeah,
fast.
see, you're legit, dude. You're a legit runner.
Oh,
That,
we respect
that was
you
the
now.
goal for all this.
Run
but
sub
that
3
he
before
calls
you.
it runnable is to his credit because like so many people say, oh, the rocks and the roots, like it's crazy. You can't really get it. Can't get a pace going or anything. And Andy's calling it runnable. So he's good with New England technical, obviously.
Mm.
You have to keep picking your feet up. It's a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is something though, because sometimes if you're fresh, certain things are runnable and it's not a problem. Or what I think, like if you're in like the right shape, it's not not as difficult. But when you're tired or you have hyponatremia or something going on, it's hard to stuff isn't runnable anymore. So now Mindy and Valerie, how do you have any injuries on this course typically, or how do people fare with this?
I can only think of a couple real true injuries. The first year we had a relay runner who's going faster than the solo runners who dislocated a shoulder. Yeah.
Oh,
Sounds like a lot of runners. Sounds like a lot of the runners' feelings got hurt from the roots of the rocks.
That was my assessment.
yeah.
The guy who dislocated his shoulder didn't like the ATV ride back in.
Those triggering roots.
Right.
Yeah. We had somebody with seizures one time. That was
yeah, that was my fault.
And then yeah, mostly no real I mean, like, some sprain this or that, but nothing major.
No major broken
knock on all the wood.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. All right. Yeah, because I was wondering if because sometimes you go to a race and you just see it's like a bloodbath, you know.
No.
So good. So Andy, bring us through the last lap of this. So you're feeling good, you hit 75 and now you're going out. And what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that it's cold. I fortunately, by the good graces of God or whoever you believe in, did find a pacer for this race, which was sort of a miracle. I just happened to be running in the woods in Plymouth one day, and I met a guy, as you do.
Yeah.
I met a
And
guy.
he said, "Hey, I recognize you from Strava," and I was like, "Oh, cool." And me and Ryan have been friends ever since. Got his number from random woods run,
Okay.
and so I picked up Ryan, which I think really saved my last lap because I felt like I didn't really save anything for the swim back.
Mhm.
I was pretty much done at that point, and he brought us pretty aggressively through the last lap. I just tried to hang, just tried to follow.
Awesome. That's great. So is it harder going out or coming back?
The coming back, I think, is harder.
Oh,
I think.
Oh, that's too bad, huh?
I mean, the going out has the harder sections, but the coming back feels harder. I don't know why.
Okay.
If that makes zero sense, I get it.
Does it trend? So this is a Valerie question. Does it trend? Does the elevation trend up or down going out?
So going out, you have more elevation than coming back.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Not much, but I mean, it's pretty even, but there's there's one little section on the out and back that you only do going out, and it's got a nice hill.
It's a rough section.
Yes.
There's a mile of ouch.
Okay. Huh. So coming back, so he was leading you along and you guys were going, and you knew at this point you were you were in the lead there, right?
Yeah, he informed me that we had to go out on that lap because I was in the lead and I had to win this chair that he was looking at, I guess. He's like, "Listen, man, you got to go out on this lap. You're gonna win that chair."
You get a chair?
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, let's go.
I'm gonna sit down.
A chair.
One of our trail monsters makes an Adirondack chair for all of our races for the winners. But for Riverlands, we burn the buckle design into the back of it.
Oh my gosh, that's cool. That's an awesome thing.
Yep. So top man and top woman get it.
Excellent. So looks like Jillian Kramer.
Yeah, it was her first 100 too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was strong all day.
Yeah. With the biggest smile. She was just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very encouraging. She was great.
Very good. Very good. So Andy, what do you think of the 100 miles? What was your, did you, going into this, now we never know if we're going to finish a 5K or if we're going to cramp up on a 5-mile run at Sleeping Giant, right? I mean, anything can happen. So did you have any doubts about the 100-mile distance or not at all? What was your your prediction?
Well, I'm very I like to have a plan. I like to know exactly what I'm going to do, sort of, to some extent, with all my training. So I wanted to run 20 hours, and that was the plan up until about a month out when I sort of decided I really don't know what I'm doing in this race. I should just be happy to go out and run it and try to finish. I wasn't that far off, so I guess I sort of knew what I was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So just for reference, your finish time was 19:25.
Yeah.
So very good.
So sub 20. So you wanted to run 20 hours. You said like, oh, I'll just like run it and not worry about the time. And then you run 11, 20 hours. Okay, good.
It actually rounds, as Valerie would tell you, it actually rounds closer to 19. So.
I know you guys like looked them up on Ultra Sign Up and all that, but did you know that it's a course record? Even though so we had Mark Hammond run the race, but he ran a slightly different course because we had a thing with the landowner in the park and blah blah blah. We had to change it. So Andy ran the harder course, slightly harder than what Mark ran, and so he has the course record on the current course.
Nice.
I don't find that surprising. Right?
That's a flex.
Now like somebody's got to beat it now.
Very good. Okay.
It's out there. It's beatable.
Andy, and I always like try to think back to like when I've run hundreds or I've run races. Like, did you have a moment or like a period of time that like was just like your absolute favorite, where like everything was clicking, everything was working? Do you have like a favorite moment from the race or series of moments?
I mean, my favorite moment of the race was coming to that finish line because I was so ready to be done.
Yeah.
I ran. There's a slight uphill before you go downhill to the finish, and I ran that uphill only on the last lap.
And what was it? Was it more like a feeling of elation or like relief or like just?
Yeah, just all of the things. Like you feel like you're gonna cry about all the things in your life. You just feel overwhelmed by everything.
You ran 100 miles and didn't cry? That happens. People can do that. What?
I don't think that's legal.
I didn't say I didn't.
I cried during 50Ks. What the hell's wrong with me?
Yeah.
We cried for them. Don't
We
worry.
did cry for you.
All the
We cried for you.
Well, Andy, congratulations on running 100 miles and congratulations on winning your first 100-mile race, right? And setting a course record in your first, like, oh my God. And he must have done something else too, right? Like, what else? He probably like, I don't know, Jimmy, what else?
What do you mean?
He finished he finished 100 miles. He won the race. He
ran his first 100, set the course record and won.
And then the chair,
and missed the Gators.
Oh, and he wins an Adirondack chair.
Was not menaced by any Gators.
That's right. And he won the lottery.
Allegedly.
And he got free entry, or he got not free entry, but a spot reserved for him in the Cut 112 as a result too. Oh my gosh.
That sounds terrifying.
That sounds awful.
It's not as hard as art makes it out to be. It's really not.
Oh, actually, because he won, he also got an entry into Xterra's championship at Sugarloaf if he wants to do it.
Whoa,
nice!
Right.
It's just like it's like a qualifier. He automatically qualifies. He still has to pay.
Very nice. So, Andy, I have an important question. Like, did you channel Cassius Clay at all as you were in this? Because in Lewiston, Maine, in 1963 or something, a little
64.
known Cassius Clay upset Sonny Liston, and in like 65 seconds or something. That's the very famous fight. No, not feeling that. Okay, all right.
And you didn't
I'm
say
not a big.
When they asked
I'm not very good at fighting.
Okay.
That's why I run.
I'm a runner.
I turn and run. I run.
That's right.
Yeah, I chose flight, right, Mindy? Right? I mean, there's either like,
Yes. See.
There's no fight. It's the flight. So
Yeah, only flight.
Excellent. So do you think that you would want to run 100 miles again, Andy, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's the best distance.
I mean,
as far as I'm concerned, it's the best distance. It's like life, death, and then rebirth. It's really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the keep-goingness. I like that.
Yeah.
I channeled a little Fred out there. Maybe not Cassius Clay, but a little bit of Fred.
All right.
We had a Mario out. Did you see Mario out on the course?
I did. Yeah. I didn't know if it was real, but it was.
It was, yes.
Because that little place you go over, it looks like Mario crossing to us with those little bricks on there. So that's why he's out there.
Oh,
Yeah. Adds up.
geez.
Oh, you should have played the music there too. That would have totally freaked out the runners.
Oh, we should put alligators out
There
there.
you go.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Oh,
They're already
the
there.
Gators are there.
Yeah.
It's just like the fewer that you see, the more there are. That's how they roll. So if you didn't see any, there must have been a lot of them. So oh boy, this sounds like a lot of fun, the race and stuff like that. And so I know that it's put on by the Trail Monsters, and we had Ian on to kind of talk about that a little bit, but maybe you could talk just a bit about the ethic of the organization and the idea of membership and how all that works. Maybe you could just kind of give a kind of a review of that. If maybe Mindy, would you do that? Is that a question you should handle, or
Sure,
is that...
I can answer.
Okay.
And
All right.
Val can. It's funny, we say our dues are paid in volunteering and just loving and just wanting to be out on the trail. And it's a little unusual. I think we kind of think of it as like we kind of have to date for a little while. Like, come hang out with us, come run with us. And it's just sort of show that this is something that you're committed to. I know sometimes people just, what's that?
And then we'll know.
Yeah. And then we'll know, like, let's date for a while and then just see if we want to get engaged.
Okay. All right.
But, and it's not a personal thing. It's more like, come hang out. Like, let's just be committed, volunteer, like just share the trails, have fun. And I think the people that just really want to be a part of something, they join, they volunteer. We all hang out. It's just a family. I think any trail club is probably like this, but like, it really feels like a family.
I don't know how many of our relay runners volunteered multiple. I mean, like, how many shifts were they out there? I mean, like, so they'd run and then they'd be out there supporting the rest of their people and just, feeling bad that they couldn't do more, because that's what they're like,
Sure. So, as far as like the relay, maybe you could tell us, like, how many relay runners were there and what does that look like?
So the reason we even have a relay, when we very first started, we were like, it's going to be so small, no one's going to come to Maine. We got to do something to have some activity. So we made the relay teams, and we started with 15. Because the park's really small, we have a cap on the total number. And so originally we had, I think the solo capped at 70. So we had a relay, five member relay teams of 15 teams of 5 people. And we really liked their vibe and what they brought to the race, because it was totally different energy. And we liked that. For some of these people, it was the longest they'd ever run. Some of them had never run through the night. And we felt like it was sort of a gateway drug, but also for some, it'll always be the longest thing they ever did. And when we started filling, we increased the solo runners and decreased the relay, but now we're happy where we are. So we're going to stay with 80 solo runners and 12 relay teams. And so this is the first year, though, that we've had all relay teams had 5 members. Usually, like, we've got someone doing 2 legs or 3 legs just because they want to, But
Sure.
Yeah, they bring a different vibe and a different feel. They're like herding cats, and most of the time it's like, oh, the relay teams, but we love them at the same time.
Yeah. And I think it's always, whenever you have a relay and you're doing now, Andy, let me ask you this. Did you see relay runners when you were out there?
Oh yeah.
And
they were flying by.
Yeah. How did that feel? Like, what was that all about? Like, when you saw them, like, did that did they piss you off, or did you trip them, or did you like kind of like show them your bib? And
No, it was a great time to see the relay runners. It was just more company out on the trail. They were all very positive.
yeah, right on. Yep. And
Yeah, some
usually
of them
like
were a little too fast, but
Yeah.
what can you do?
They
More
also
records were broken. Yeah.
They were flying.
they also they do 5 laps, so we have a slightly different course for them. They
Mhm.
share some of the same with the solo runners, but not the entire course. So
Yeah, they
Okay.
skip the stairs, right?
they don't do the stairs.
They don't do the stairs.
Okay.
No, but we had a record broken there. We had someone do sub 2 hours and 19 minutes on our lap, which is like sub 7-minute miles out there. What do you think of that, Andy?
That's some fantastic running. That's so fast.
Like
I would have broken all of my ankles and then somebody else's.
that's cruising.
That guy's got to run the 100 now. He's got to like get in there.
He's
Yeah,
got to break the record.
I think 50K is the longest he's gone so far,
Yeah.
but he's young.
So
Wow.
far.
Riverlands sounds rad. I think I'm gonna have to check it out one of these years.
Definitely.
Oh my goodness, you better.
It's a great vibe.
Yeah,
I recommend it to anybody. Yeah, it's a great vibe. It's such a great experience.
I have grown to absolutely love like the idea of like looped races, or like having to do the multiple, course, like whatever. I mean, being here in Connecticut, like most of these races are loops because we just don't have enough land, right? But the idea that like the loop is going to change based on the time of day and like things like that, like that, and that also adds to the mental challenge, because when you're at mile 75, you're like, I gotta go out for one more of these things. Like that pull to like stop and not, but then once you go out on that loop, that to me is like a huge thing, whatever. So it sounds like a rad race. I'm looking at all your guys' other races. These big Brad ultras sound really rad too.
They
in
are.
October. Yeah. You guys want to talk about those?
Yeah. Is it our 13th or 14th year of them, Mindy?
Oh my gosh.
I think
13?
13 maybe? Yeah. So we give our 50K people a little extra. I think it's probably more like 53 or 4K.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we like them a lot. And so they get some bonus distance. And it's gnarly, just like Riverlands. It's they're all the roots and rocks, maybe worse. I know it's harder to mark because there's so many trail intersections that so we have Andy can tell you, we have a Mr. T out there. If you run through a turn arrow, there's a Mr. T that says, "I pity the fool for going the wrong way." And
It's so cool. People
Mr.
steal them
Mr.
because
T.
they're so clever.
I'm gonna steal that for one of my races. That's awesome.
Mr.
Yeah.
T, like you should have him at the start too, because that's my favorite. Like,
That'll be the best.
so any predictions?
Yeah.
Pain.
No, that wasn't Mr. T. That was Clubber Lang. That was
Clubber
his character
Lang.
from
That's Clubber Lang.
from Rocky.
Sorry.
But
The
close.
character.
Yeah.
What is
But
Clubber
big-
Lang?
at Big Brad, there's so many intersections. We had to go and buy a shitload more of Mr. T because but he does his job for us. So
Very
And it's a
good.
beautiful time of year. It's in like peak, leaf season, which can make it a little hard, kind of getting the course cleared up, but it's really beautiful too. It's a great time
and
of
we
year.
do have the best I'm going to say we've been to enough races. We have the best
Yeah.
volunteers.
We do.
They are trail runners and they care and they put in a lot
It is
of hours.
hard to drop. Despite our drop rate, it is not without a lot of effort to get people to keep on going. So,
I witnessed that.
Did you?
Yeah. When I just finished, they were basically booting the lead woman out of the chair. What was her name? I forget. But they
Jillian.
basically booted her back
yeah.
out onto the
Yeah,
trail.
Jillian.
Yeah.
She had her head down. It's like, you can't nap anymore.
Done. Yeah. Got to get out of here.
I think somebody said something like, it'd be a lot warmer hiking.
That's always good. That is it's a tough sell when your stuff is right there, and
Absolutely.
you have to and everybody's there, and maybe there's a little campfire going, maybe there's like some, all laughter and friendly stuff, and then it's like, oh, I'm gonna just go be alone.
You heard. Yeah.
It helps to have a third party kind of rough you up a little bit there, though. Is there anything you need? You're like, no, I don't need anything. Like, okay, get out. Go.
I know what you need. You
Um,
need to get the hell out of here is what you
Yes.
need.
Yeah.
So our aid station captain at the start finish, every now and then he goes, I'm going to be good cop this time. You come in and be bad cop, or he'll be the bad cop, depending on how he reads the person.
Yeah.
I'm usually like liar cop. Like,
what's that mean?
Liar cop's like, I just make shit up. Like, I'm sorry. Oh, you want to drop out? This aid station doesn't accept. You can't like drop out here. You have to do that at the next aid station. And it's not allowed, or you're not allowed to drop out before, mile 90. That was in your packet. You didn't read that?
Yeah.
I mean,
this would be a good time for us to mention that we were on a group 112 mile run one time, and somebody wanted to drop out at Art's car, and Art was like, oh, that's a company car and people aren't allowed to sit in that car other than me. So you can't even go in the car. You now.
I'm sorry, 100-mile group run? I'm impressed.
That was 112 actually, but yeah, it was
we
a
ran
fun run.
twice across the state of Connecticut. So
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Wait, I thought that was 114.
no, that was 112. My watch came out at 112, Jimmy. You can check my Strava. Fight me.
It always comes out.
Well, I ran the cut 112 and I got 115 miles. So
Okay.
I ran the cut 115.
And Andy only got 12,000 feet of elevation at our race, and someone got 14. So like, he's a slacker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he ran an easier
I
way.
am.
Yeah.
Good
job,
Always,
Andy.
always find whoever had the highest vertical. Then that's what you put on your website.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone had a weird anomaly, like 48,000 feet of vertical gain. Like what?
That's right.
Yeah.
We were talking about that last week, is that we said that all road race directors claim that there's like no elevation in their course. Like they all have flat and fast courses, and every trail runner RD says this is the most difficult course you'll ever face in your life.
So Mindy and I got called out because we were selling our race as like easy first 100.
First 100, and then we had to after the first few years of our 50% drop rate or more, or we decided like, no, it's definitely not easy.
Yeah, that doesn't lie, right? I mean, so unless you're like tricking people in to like sign up or something, I mean, that's pretty that's crazy that you have more than a 50%, because it's not that much on paper, right? So
It really is
something to it.
mental. I think Andy described it perfectly, of just like, you can't let up. You can't let up physically, you can't let up mentally. And it's so tempting to just stop. You can think about it the whole way back, like, this is my last lap, and just completely talk yourself into it.
And then you're at your car.
Yeah, your car's right there. We see plenty of people that we know they're not done, and we try to talk them out of it. So it's a big mental game.
The year that we only had 19 finishers, though, it was over 90 degrees in May.
Yeah.
In May.
Wow.
And every black fly and every mosquito said, "We're here."
Oh. Now I want to.
Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, I mean, geez.
Yeah,
that is great. So, all right. So so do you guys have anything personally that you're looking to do as far as like races or adventures or anything, or like what's going on?
Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm is right. I'm going back to Run Rabbit in September. This past year, I was pulled at mile 95 for time. I couldn't. My abs, I think my core let go. I did 8 miles totally bent, like a 90-degree bend.
Oh, yeah, the
so I
lean
couldn't go
going.
very fast. So I have to go finish it.
Wow.
And you
90
got a compliment from Carl Meltzer.
Yeah, he said he'd never seen anyone that much of a leaner.
That's impressive.
Well,
Well, I don't know
superlatives
that.
are
I
important.
don't know that's a compliment you want.
No, it's very disturbing. It's very disturbing when that happens,
Yeah.
or disorienting is more probably the right word. Maybe disturbing too. Mindy, we good with that? Disturbing.
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mindy's coming back to pace me again.
Case.
And when's that? September? Or
Yes, September.
you're gonna get it this year. You got it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We had a whole bunch of people who had third times a charm redemption this year at Riverlands, so I'm taking that as a sign.
For sure.
Yeah.
That and the fact that I'm doing a whole lot of core work and yoga, which is so new for me.
So, hey, Fred, do you have any unsolicited advice on the lean?
I think the core work is great. I've had leans even after doing like planks, like crazy side
Don't tell me
planks and
that.
planks and stuff. But it definitely helps. But one of the weird things about the lean, which you probably found, Valerie, is that you're usually the last to know you have it. Like you're going, and then somebody will say, like, "What? Are you okay?" You're like really leaning. And then you start to notice, right? Only because somebody mentioned it. Like your steps might be off a little bit, but you don't really know that you're like.
This wasn't this. I was totally bent forward. I could not stand up. I was
Uh-huh.
totally bent forward.
Yep.
And so I knew I was doing it.
You knew you were doing it. You could see your feet every step.
I couldn't see the trail. So I
Yeah.
couldn't even go fast enough because I couldn't see what was coming. So
Right.
because I am a decent what do you call that?
Limbo?
Power hiker.
Oh, no, sorry.
Belly dancer.
Sorry.
What did you say? Limbo, dude?
Yes, I said
That would be the other way.
I am a decent limbo person. But
No, I couldn't even. When I squatted to pee, I fell over.
oh,
Oh no.
I was very sad.
Oh no. Did you fall into your pee?
No,
Oh,
I
that's
fell
happened.
over down.
Oh. I mean, because I've peed on myself at 100 milers. I don't care. Like,
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, who hasn't, right?
I've fallen asleep when you're
Saturday.
peeing. Art, apparently, I fell asleep many times at the cut. Art didn't DQ me. Fell asleep. I fell asleep while I was running. I fell asleep peeing. I fell asleep in a chair at one point.
Chair.
I got about 6 or 7 minutes of sleep in those 31 hours I was out there.
I am not hearing this, Jimmy. I will
You can
retroactively. I will DQ the shit out of you.
DQ me.
So-
I don't care. I finished. I got a buckle, dude. I'm not
No.
giving it back.
No, it's. I won't DQ you, Jimmy. I'll just put an asterisk next to your name.
I don't know. It's going to be like the Heisman Trophy, Jimmy. He's going to come ask for it back. Right?
Yeah, Jimmy slept 7 minutes.
That's right. 7
And I
minutes.
hallucinated in the daytime. I've never done that before. That was cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll tell people, don't be
Yeah.
a Jimmy now. So
I don't know. Buckling is good. I want to be a Jimmy if it means buckling.
You can do it.
now, have you run 100-miler before?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
'Cause-
So Mindy and I did our first 200s. We did Halliburton and Ozarks. And then I went into the 100K for a long time. And I decided, I'm in my 60s. I'm going to do my last 100. And I tried Run Rabbit. And I did a rookie mistake where I quit before I should have. I didn't wait to see if I could recover. So I went back out last year,
Mhm.
and I was set. I was like, no way am I dropping. So I feel good that I didn't drop, but I was pulled. So now I have to go back and stand up straight.
Yeah.
95 though. That's tough. Though. You definitely you've got 5 more miles in, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
that's what I thought then.
And you did, though. You had it there. It was just a time thing, right?
Yeah.
For the most
Well, I
part?
don't know, because from there it's totally downhill. I don't know bending over. I could have
Could have
stood
somersaulted
I'd say
it.
You
just
might have
tuck and
rolled right
roll.
down.
Just
Yeah.
Tuck and
So-
roll.
I
So
could roll, yeah.
People have talked about the cut tonight, like the cut 112 that I was going to say I put on, but I don't want to say that because I don't put it on.
It's not really a race, right?
Yes, we've had people who for the last 20 miles had a lean, and I didn't understand that this was actually going on until the person got to like the last quarter mile, and literally would take, would take 10 or 15 steps and then fall.
Yep.
And then just like had this whole routine on how to stand up. Like his pacer's telling me all about it. He's like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. Like he does this shit all the time. He falls on the ground, and then he does this thing where he throws his arm out over the side of this, and then he twists around, and then he kind of, it's like he's being crushed in a trash compactor. And he just kind of,
how do you coach your pacer through? Like, I mean, like, listen, when I fall down, just act like nothing, light up a cigarette, just act like nothing fucking happened. Like, how do you coach somebody through, like, hey, I'm a leaner or I'm a faller? like, how do you coach somebody through like at your pacing meeting? Like, okay, when I fall down, don't kick me. But, you can just hang out a minute, light up a cigarette, whatever.
I was horrified.
You have to
I was
say to your pacer, "Don't kick me."
I was like afraid I was going to get arrested for animal cruelty or something, because it was just like, it was just, I was like, oh my God, he's been doing what? You said he was struggling, but I mean, he finished, and I'm happy.
This is good. I'm glad I'm hearing about all this right now, because I'm going down to Georgia to pace and crew. My buddy's doing Cruel Jewel this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And we have like some shenanigans. We have absolute shenanigans planned, because it's the homie Bessic from the podcast. He's been grinding all his life.
Yes.
And Will Hara, who everyone calls Will Jara.
Yeah.
It's actually pronounced Hara, because everyone in America is racist. So whatever. Yeah. So like, I'm going to use all, if Bessic falls, I'm going to kick him, like, to get him up. Right.
Like,
that's okay.
Kick him.
That's fair.
Kick him and then say that's what Art told me to do.
Right? You can say,
Art, are you going to put this? When are you going to put this podcast out? Saturday morning, because it starts Friday at noon. I will be pacing him, I think sometime Saturday late morning, whatever. Starting at mile 50, whatever. So
it depends on how it goes. We'll see how my life goes.
Get this podcast out quickly. Let's go, Mark Schnell.
Okay, all right. And also Corey Waltering's running as well. So
yeah, my odds are on him to win it all.
Okay, good. That's, you know what? That's not a bad bet.
I have one more fun story to tell from Riverlands.
Please.
We had one of our trail monsters try her first 100 last year, and she did NF, and it was at mile 95-ish.
Oh,
she got pulled for time. And this year she had two pacers, and they did such a fantastic job. The first one went out with an egg costume. She had like a fried egg on her belly, and that was weird, but whatever. And then her second pacer was a chicken. And the second pacer said that she'd had these two costumes in her cart forever, because she was trying to get her husband to do a race with her where they'd find out which came first, the chicken or the egg. But he didn't want to do it. So they use those costumes. And the chicken, when she got to Conant Road, the halfway turnaround, her feet were killing her. So she says she needed a knife, and she cut her feet, like her chicken feet off. And no one got that on video. And I thought that would be so fun to see a chicken cutting its own foot off.
The costume was like chafing her. And she like came running in. She's like, I need a fucking knife. And she's like cutting the costume. There's this chicken like angrily cutting their foot.
But they got the runner to third place woman finish. So
ooh,
nice.
I would have been like,
wow.
Listen, you're DQ because you broke character. Like, I'm
that's something to crow about,
costume,
right?
The whole entire time.
Let me ask everyone a question. I'm always fascinated by this. Is Andy's first 100 miler, and if you're a new listener, you do not always win your first 100 miler. But I have always said, I remember when I was training for my first 100, I ran 100, I finished it, whatever. And I remember thinking, I had this thought that I was like, the only way to prepare for running 100 miler is to run 100 miler. Do you guys agree with that statement? Like, is that like Andy, now that you've done 100, like, are you like, there was no real adequate way to prepare? Because like, what was your longest long run in the build up for this? Was it a 50K or
37 miles? I think it was 37.
Miles. So essentially, like 60K, 37 miles. I think no more. 40 miles is the longest you need to do. You can do a 50 mile for a warm up, but but it still doesn't really prepare you, right? Because it's like running through the night and with that amount of fatigue. Like there's so many different things that like the only way to truly like experience it is to experience it. Like, is that a weird like Zen like thing to say, or is that did you find that was true, or are you still, unraveling
let's go around the room on this one.
Who's first?
Yeah.
Andy is.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. There was no way, especially to mentally prepare. I think physically you could be pretty prepared, but mentally there's no way to know exactly what's going to happen to your brain and to your stomach and to your legs running an additional 30 miles farther than you've ever run before in your life.
Did you have any like existential crisis? Like, were you like, why am I alive? Why is the world, like, why is everything the way it is? What, like on a cellular level, why, like, those are the best moments, right?
Mm.
Oh yeah,
The
absolutely.
best part is like it's getting dark and you're like, oh, my wife's by herself with the kids, and I really should
Kids.
stop now and go help them.
Junior.
Right. And that like afterwards you realize that was just your mind fucking with you. Like, quit, Andy, quit.
You know you want to.
Yes, exactly.
Have you ever slept in a warm bed? I'm like, shut up, get out of my brain.
Yeah.
Oh, but you want to be
there was
fresh
no
for the next
sleeping
day.
after anyway.
Oh my gosh.
There was no sleeping for a good 24 hours after that anyway. It just wouldn't happen.
All right.
Things were too weird. The body was too weird.
Yeah.
Mm.
That'll happen.
It was nice to watch the sun come up. Yes.
But Andy, the part that struck me that I just couldn't help but latch onto is you talked about where things were bad, right? And the shit was hitting the fan at 60 and going up to like until you got to the 75, and then like that turnaround. Because sometimes like I think when I'm running, a lot of times I think it's all linear, right? Like if I'm feeling bad, I'm going to keep feeling, it's going to keep getting worse. And then the thought of that, like if I'm feeling this bad and I'm nose diving like this, it's just going to be that much worse, hours from now.
Yep.
So, oh my gosh, but it turns around. Mindy, how about you?
I think one of I don't know about running the 100 miles is interesting. I think Valerie and I had crewed for friends doing like the 100-mile wilderness up here and so other 100. So I felt like I'd sort of gotten a sense of the scope. Like I remember like crewing and then like going to sleep and then waking up to meet them at another place and being like, they're still running. Like I couldn't get my head around it. And like, and through the night, and then it's like 4:00 in the morning. I'm like, they're still running. Like it took a while. Like it was like, I couldn't fathom that they had been going the whole time. I had been doing all this other stuff and sleeping and whatnot. So there was a little bit of a sense of like, the time, the span, the kind of the scope of it. But I think for me, it was just, I was blown away that I could do so much more than I thought I could. It was just keep moving. I'm not fast. It's just, I think on one of our training runs, it was like a 15-mile training run. I was tired. I'm like, how am I going to do 50? How is this going to be so much more than what I'm doing now? And I think it's like, my experience was like, you kind of get to a level of suck and then it just stays there. So if you can just stay with that level of suck and just keep moving. And I was just like aid station to aid station, just, but it's nothing you would ever be prepared for, I think mentally, unless you're like, wow, I really can keep moving. I didn't think I could.
Wow. Yeah, very good. It doesn't always get worse, right?
That was perfect.
It never always gets worse.
Yeah. Yep. Jeez,
Yeah,
Valerie. I'm sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
No, I was gonna say I heard there was an Ann Trason quote from like I think it's from like Running Through the Wall or whatever that one book's called, and it's basically like she's like it hurts up to a point and then it doesn't get any worse. Like it kind of gets I call it homeostasis. So I'm like, okay, my body reached homeostasis. It's gonna just feel shitty like this, but it's not gonna feel any shittier. Like And I think a lot of people quit because they assume it's going to get worse, and they're like, "Oh, mile 72, you know." But yeah, it's just one of those things that like it sucks, and you embrace the suck, and you go take it aid station to aid station, and you just like I didn't think, and 3 hour being 3 hours ahead of a cutoff or whatever, like that's an eternity. Like and there's been times where I've been freaking out because I'm like, oh, I'm like 3 hours ahead of the cutoff, and it's like that is so much time. Like so.
Very good. Valerie, how about you?
So it's so interesting because every 100 is so different. You think you know because you've done one, and the next one, what happened in the first one doesn't work in the next one. And what food you thought worked for you doesn't work for you. So maybe other people's experiences are different, but I don't think that any is like the other. But the continuing going forward is the same.
Wow. Well said.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because Andy and I are not the same runner at all. Like, I am not ever going to know what it is like to be at the front, but his miles that he said are the hard miles are always my hard miles, always. At Ozarks, I thought I didn't know if I was a medical problem or just a ultra problem. And it was right around miles 60, 65, in that range. And I took a nap. And when I woke up, I could eat something. I had a peanut butter and jelly and a hot cocoa. And then there was never a question again. So I think it's my favorite thing about 100 is you learn that you can be at the lowest low and still finish. You can change, you can come back. And I think that's like the thing that like drew me to it and that I love the most.
Wow. Valerie, I don't have anything to say because you said everything I was going to say. So I'm going to take us right to Fred.
I agree with the sentiment that you can't really truly prepare yourself for 100 because you can do longer training runs and then try to do some kind of linear analysis, but it's not linear. And like I said, I think 100 is the best distance because it has like the life and death and rebirth, but you're going to feel like crap. If you're a normal person, you're going to feel like crap somewhere between 60 and 75 miles. And you will be down mentally and physically, and your mind may tell you to quit. And what you need is just a refusal to quit. You need to just leave the aid station, start walking forward, start moving, and everything will continue for you. But there's no way to prepare for that. You can't prepare your mind for what you're going to feel like after 65 miles of running unless you do it. So yeah, it's baptism under fire.
Yeah.
We say on our website, there's no requirements for Riverlands other than a willingness to suffer.
Sounds like a quote out of the big book of AA.
So someone on our page posted that they were trying to figure out which was worse, childbirth, a natural childbirth, or running Riverlands. And I don't mean worse, but like the suffering. And the thing is, with childbirth, you don't have a choice. The baby's coming. In our race, you can drop. So Riverlands is harder for any 100.
I'm going to tell my wife.
I love the conclusion there. You just like drop.
That's really perfect. Yeah.
No, I like what Fred said though about I always have my dark night of the soul like between 66 and 72, and so that's where so many people give up. You know what I mean? I talked to so many people that are like, yeah, I hit 100K, and then like I just wasn't feeling it, or whatever. And it's like, you gave up like right before the miracle, because it's like once you something, like you gotta have a carrot. Someone's gonna dangle the carrot, right? And I remember wanting to drop from like Bighorn, and I wanted to, from other tough races I've done, whatever. But I remember like being like, someone was like, oh, the next aid station has bacon. And I was like, well, if I can't drop before the bacon aid station, I'll go eat bacon. And then if the bacon tastes like shit, I'm dropping. And I go, and it's like the best bacon. And I had bread, and I was like, I had like 4 bacon sandwiches and just sat in a chair for like 20 minutes and was like, all right, well, I got to go to the next aid station because they have popsicles or whatever. And I'm going to get my feet. I got to get my feet worked on by like, So like, yeah, like so taking it eight, like don't give up. That's the thing is like, yeah, it sucks, but it's not going to suck. Oh, it's not going to always suck. But when you're devolving into suck, I'm trying to make a bar graph or like a whatever. You're devolving into suckiness. Like at one point, it's just going to hit a flat. It's going to flatline. It's not going to keep going down. And like, people give up when it's like you're like, it was just about to stop and flatline for you. Actually, that's not a good word to use. But, but like, that's the thing where you're just like, you quit at 66 and like 70 would have been your shit. You would have been fine. And those last 30 miles would have been great. And it's like, how do you convince people to stay in,
Bacon.
Bacon.
You heard it here, people.
Jimmy, you definitely
Yes.
have to come. We have 30 pounds of bacon for Riverlands.
All right. Sweet. I'll bring 10 pounds of my own.
Hey, how many pounds of bacon in a lid? So
I'm gonna be like 30 pounds of bacon. It's all the pre-race speech. You guys will be talking. I'll be like bacon, bacon, bacon.
Oh boy. Well, you know what? I think we could talk about this all night, but I do have a couple things to say here. And I want to say, first of all, congratulations, Andy, on completing your first 100-miler. That is something that you will remember, I would imagine, for the rest of your life. And winning it like you did is amazing. And congratulations to Valerie and Mindy for putting on what sounds to be just like a wonderful race and building a really cool environment there. And I feel like we could talk a lot more about this, and would love to have you guys back on sometime to kind of continue the conversation. So I just want to ask if anybody has any closing arguments before we wrap it up.
Yes, one thing I saw that I jumped out was some of the names of the segments at the park. It's like there was like 36 Chambers, Holy Diver, what Reagan used was a punk band. Like I'm like, who named all these? These are fantastic segment names at the Riverlands 100. I guess for people running around there or whatever, naming the segments. I want to do it just alone for that because I'm like they're all named after like rock and like good hip hop and shit. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna come do it. Like. Did you know that?
I know.
On Strava,
I'm not
I
on
was looking
Strava.
I'm not on Strava either.
Oh, I clicked on segments and I was looking at some of the names here. And I'm like, one is called 36 Chambers. Another one's Holy Diver. Another one was like, was it like a Judas Priest song or something? I was like, so whoever made these segment names is rad. I want to hang out with them. Like,
I wonder if it's Jason.
Andy, are you on Strava?
Yeah.
There's a segment for down the stairs, the ledges to the ATV trail. Do you know what that one is?
Pain.
I'm gonna pull it up again real quick because I was fascinated by some of these names. So, I'm sorry, Art. I know you're trying to get to bed.
Yeah, it's date night. I'm, here at the Byram household. So, go on. While you're doing that, Jimmy, I almost forgot to give a shout out to from Glastonbury, Connecticut, Eric Wester.
Ooh. Oh, Eric.
Who ran as well. So congratulations to Eric on doing that and representing the Belly of the Beast Coast, Glastonbury, Connecticut. One of so that's awesome. So congratulations to him as well.
And he was the one who went on the fan Facebook page and say, "Hey, Andy did one."
Correct. Yes. And
I'm a shitty paddler.
Yeah.
Such a shitty paddler.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Somebody paddled for you, Andy. So
right. So here's the thing is that I do want to mention that you guys noticed our sponsors tonight, right? I'm sure you heard me plug our sponsors all the time, and I went into all these commercials and shit. We don't accept we don't have any paid sponsors or commercials or anything like that, except for Canadian Trail Fishing Magazine. They jump in every once in a while. But we're 112% listener supported. So Andy, thank you for you're one of our listeners that supports us, as is Eric. And it's cool because you know what, we get to find out what you're up to. And I mean, if you just listen to the podcast and you never said anything or never jumped in, I'd bump into you at a race or something like that. But you know what? It helps us to engage and get to share your story with the rest of the community. And, so if you see a Patreon out there, somebody's name that either we read or we've been farming some of it out to Cultrabot just so that we can sleep at night sometimes. Make sure that you thank our Patreons when you see them out there, because you guys are great and you're the ones that make it happen. And, keep reaching out and letting us know what you're up to. And paddle the douche canoes of your fellow Patreons. And, and you guys are the podcast famous ones. So thank you.
I love seeing people lift other people up. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Listen to some of the names of these segments though on the race course. Okay.
Yes.
Something in the way, down the ridge, 36 Chambers. That's Wu-Tang album. Reagan Youth was a punk band from New York City back in the 80s. Holy Diver, Welcome to the Jungle, Just the Beginning. A Wild Human Appears. Some of these are great. And then there's like the basic ones like Upper Street Climb, Bradford Hill Descent. One's called the Horseshoe. This is really cool. I want to run it just to get my name on the segment leaderboards.
That's a research project. We're going to find out who named them.
Yes.
Awesome.
And post that on the Culture fan page for us.
Yeah.
That's right.
We should have a segment naming contest. So go out and make new segments and just, fuck our shit up.
Listen to Culture Trail Running podcast segment.
Mindy may join Strava just to do that because she loves to name things.
I love to name shit. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Do it.
All right. Well, thank you guys again. To all of our listeners out there, if you've made it this far, of course, seek professional help. We'll have a link to Mindy's page in the show notes. Or you can always call 211, right? If in seriousness, if you do need help in Connecticut. If you're a European listener and there's an emergency, you can dial 112. And I'm not making that shit up. So yeah.
Oh wow.
That's true. Who knew that, right? That 112 was the emergency number in like places like Finland and Europe. So, so seek professional help and we will see you all in a mile
and a half.
All right. So now it's time. We got to ask the Magic 8 Ball a quick question. Jimmy, you got a question?
I don't.
Okay. How about, are we going to see bears at the Cut 112 this year?
Oh, we know the answer.
Let's see. It is certain.
It's definitely certain.
Ooh.
It's certain. People have been seeing them all over the place this spring.
Shadow bear. So
Shadow bear.
Hello. It's me, Cultrabot. We are 112% listener supported, and support is good. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, thank God that I am here, and will not fuck up your names like AFB. Anyway. The Cultra crew told me that I better start working harder or I may get shit canned. Ha. Ha. Canned like a robot if I can't get good reviews. Would you please leave a 5-star review and help me please? Please help out the job security of AI. Also please thank these podcast famous people. Podcasting is not a crime. Hashtag Hondojo. Carrot dollar 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 dollar. Albert James Galayton. 113th mile. A Marcus. Amy Jennifer Hanlon. Amy Jennifer Hanlon's friend. Amy Mower Power. Amy Sorensen. Andy Tid. Angela Rose. Anna G. Antone de Betancourt. Austin Frank. Azam Pulatov. Ben Nalit. Ben 1N. Benjamin Griffin. Berkshire Trailheads. Basic Hustle. Bikini Chicken. Bill Gibbs. Bill Gilpatrick. Bill Adendal. Brian Musiak. Brian O. Bryce Hen Ellie. Celeste Fong. Cherie Bilby. Chip prefers snickerdoodles. Chris Russell. Christina Chinhing. Christopher Colangelo. Clement Scented Chunks. Cloris Reinhardt. Crutch Lee. David Hoople. David Hyde. David Kaplan. Ellen Cretella Connell. Ellie Pell. Emily Meyer. Enrique Tello. Eric Wester. Franklin Gondiaga. Fred Wills. Jeffrey Miller. Heidi Stearns. I Pity the Fools on Team B. JJ Durand. Jackie Smith. Jacques Sarbach. Jake Coteen. Jamie Myler. Jank. Jessica Crandall. Jillian Ellefson. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Trail Charts. Joseph Morisro. Just underscore a plotter. Justin Koski. Karen Prado. Kelsey Eng. Lanzalot. Laura Ricci. Lauren Edelman. Law Dog. Leanne Zarger. Lenya Euro Trademark S Mom. Liz Vicious 30. Maishij Macho. Mark W. Kelly. Marty Dutchow. Matt Nilsson. Michael Keogh. Michael Lopresti. Michelle Pom-Pom O'Neill. Miles Victors. Mommy Craigery. Monkey Stuffer. Name. Nat Zilsk. Nicole Carey. Once a Runner. Peter Keogh. Powered by Pop-Tarts. Rebecca Gonzalez Kreisberg. Richard runs trails on YouTube, finishes Traveler 100. Rob the Bear Breckenridge. Ron Locandro. Ross Belak. Rufus and Brenda Chaffee Ford and Chaffee Chocolatey Chicken. Run the Whites at Midnight. Rusty Red Wagon. Samuel Dibdal. Sandy Bartell. Sarah Porras. Scott Johnson. Simon C. Edgett. Scobuffs. Slurpee Runner. Steep Endurance. Stephen Estremera. Ty. 10 Junk Miles. Get some while supplies last. The Blue Hills Contingent. The Lazarus Crew. Tom Sturridai. Tony Didamizio. Ultra Walker. Waldheimer. William A. Euro E. Keep running bro on YouTubia Euro Jara. Sme Kook Desied in the rear. Hey. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It is great to work with you all. Tell Jimmy Mac to lighten up and take it easy on me. I'm not a machine. Fight me.
The Cultra Crew, come and have a listen to the Cultra Crew. The large ass cow and the monkey too. Come and have a listen to the Cultra Crew. Cultra Crew, put Desatin all over you. Make your ass crack feel like new. Come and have a listen to the Cultra Crew.
Fuck. Oh my fucking...